Hi everyone, Ugo Arinze here with Onyx Property Team in Keller Williams. Thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel. We are in 2022. We've got another year in the books already, and I can't wait to start off the series for 2022 talking about the London property market. If you're new to my channel, I put out weekly videos about the London property market and living in this incredible city. So this is going to be a great resource for you to find out what's happening in London. And if you're thinking about relocating or buying in London, then you've come to the right place. Just a bit of background about me. I am a London-based property agent. I've lived in London now 11 years. I moved over from America, and I love specializing in helping international clients rent or relocate into the London property market or buy and invest in the property market as well. So this channel is dedicated to sharing with you everything you need to know about the property market and living in this incredible city. So let's dive in and give you a bit of a recap as to how 2021 wrapped up and what we might look forward to into 2022. So the price of the average UK home hit a record high of $267,091 in December, up more than $24,000 over the year. This was the biggest annual increase since 2003. And this represents an average UK price increase of 10.4%. So the overall UK market had an incredible year. Now, how did London compare, relatively speaking? Well, London did not have such a great year. It actually had a 4.2% annual increase, which was a decline from the prior year's increased percentage. As you can see from this table, Wales saw the highest growth, with prices increasing 15.8% compared to the same time last year. Meanwhile, prices slowed in London compared to the last year, climbing just 4.2% to an average of £230,000. Some of the factors that impacted last year's results included the government's stamp duty holiday, which was extended and tapered down and finally removed at the end of September. It definitely incentivized a lot of buyers who might have been on the fence, because at the peak of the holiday, you could save up to £15,000 in stamp duty costs. For those who don't know what stamp duty is, it's a tax on purchase, and it is part of the purchasing scheme here in the UK. We've also continued to have historically low interest rates. While the government did increase the rates for the first time in December, and we'll come back to that a bit later, we have still seen historically low interest rates, making the affordability factor for buying a home definitely a key benefit. And we've continued to see the race for space as Londoners and others, really all of us, are looking at our spaces so differently in terms of spending more time at home, working from home, and recognizing and feeling the need to perhaps get that extra bedroom or get more space or get more affordability, and therefore recognizing that you don't have to come into the office every day in London. So being outside of London has certainly become more appealing. As I mentioned, interest rates in England have been historically low, but for the first time in 3 years, the Bank of England increased its rates to 0.25 from their historical lows of 0.1% as it tries to tackle rising inflation, with prices increasing in the fastest pace in years. As you can see from this graph, you can very clearly see where the interest rates from the Bank of England has been over the last 15 years or so. From another data set, according to Plumplot, which uses internet-wise analytics and data, the average price for the London region through the end of 2021 was £657,000. This graph shows the comparison between the London region and England and Wales, which had an average increase since 1995. This next graph shows the breakdown of properties by price bands. The largest number of properties were priced between £500,000 and £750,000, with 23,000 transactions through November 2021. These next two graphs are interesting to see side by side. It shows the pace of growth for the detached houses since 1995 far outstripped the other property types. Another key statistic to watch out for, particularly in London, is the affordability factor. This graph and the associated chart show how much more expensive a place in London is to afford compared to other areas. At 12.5 times price to earnings ratio, it means that a London resident with a middle income needs 12.5 times gross annual salary to buy a medium priced property. For the rest of England and Wales, that ratio is 7.69 times. The timeline also shows that up to about 2009, the regions were relatively on par with each other. After that, London began to far outpace the other areas, but has started correcting ever since 2016, which aligns with the Brexit vote to leave the EU. So that's a bit of a snapshot of 2021. What are the things to consider for 2022? Inflation is now running at 5.1%, the highest in a decade, and the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey expects it to rise further this year with projections up to 6%. In response, lenders are already increasing interest rates, and we can definitely see that cost of the mortgage interest you're going to pay possibly creeping up this year, making the affordability of your home and the associated mortgage that much higher. In 2022, we should also see the opening of the Crossrail or the Elizabeth line, which will broaden the transport network throughout the capital. This could have real positive impact and continued increases on those areas which will gain new stations and services. Make sure to check out my most recent video on Crossrail and its impact on the London property market and where you might want to actually invest. We'll have the link above. Now, forecasts range, but the general consensus is that prime central London is expected to see price increases between 5 and 10% this year. In the rest of London, prices are expected to actually increase on average only about 2%, well below the projected average for the rest of England of 3.5%. On the rental market, London definitely saw rebounds in 2021, and according to Zoopla, the average rent is approximately £3,431 per month. This improved rental income generated on average should perhaps draw more investors back into the property market to increase the yield, as well as the fact that most London investors are willing to invest based on long-term appreciation to be received over time. So I hope that this video has been helpful to give you a better sense as to what might be happening in the London property market in 2022. I specialize in helping buyers and sellers throughout the market, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'll have my contact details on this video. Also, if you want to follow me on a regular basis, make sure to check out my Instagram channel at Onyx London Life. There you'll find that I post daily, and it's really a great way to find out all the fabulous things that are happening around London, because we definitely want to show it off. So that's it for now. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out my other videos on my YouTube channel where I share great tips and information about the London property market and living in this fabulous city. So that's Ugo Arenze with Onyx Property Team and Keller Williams. Bye for now.